Welcome to Resilient Inspirations. We're here to share ideas, swap stories, and just see where the conversation takes us. Nothing fancy, just real talk with a spark of inspiration. Let's dive in. I'll hand it over to the crew.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're talking about something a little different, maybe even more critical than cleaning out your inbox. It's uncluttered your soul, the strategic case for emotional healing. We're going deep on a set of sources that, well, they argue for kind of operating system reset for your mind.
Yeah, and it's built on 3 really powerful practices that work together: bibliotherapy, creative journaling, and emotional intelligence.
And we need this reset. Because why? What is this clutter?
It's what the sources call emotional clutter. And it's not just, big past traumas. It's that constant low-level mental drag.
Like having too many tabs open.
Exactly like that. It's the unspoken fears, the tension from that conversation you never finished, all those minor daily irritations that you just push down.
That sounds exhausting. I'm thinking of the example from the source material. Maya, the graphic designer.
Right. Her story's perfect. She wasn't dealing with one big crisis. She was just depleted by the sheer buildup of small mental weights, a client's feedback, an unanswered email, the pressure to be creative on demand.
So that constant, unprocessed tension just wore her down.
It eroded her creativity and led straight to burnout. Emotional clutter is incremental, and it is absolutely lethal to focus.
So our mission today is to really give you the strategic why behind these practices, especially if you're, a bit skeptical about soft skills. We're going to detail how these 3 pillars form this system, the source is called the magic triangle, and we'll hit all the angles, from personal healing to the actual business case. Okay, let's unpack this.
To really get the synergy, you first have to appreciate the power of each pillar on its own.
Right. So let's start with bibliotherapy. It sounds a bit clinical. I mean, if I'm stressed, what stops me from just grabbing some escapist fiction instead of the right book?
And that is a great question, because it's more than just reading. Bibliotherapy is this. Compassionate, intentional practice, using books for very targeted emotional support.
So the magic isn't the plot.
No, it's the mechanism. Stories literally rewire your brain through what are called mirror neurons. So when you read about a character struggling with something, your brain fires as if you're going through it.
So it's like cognitive training for empathy. Where does that actually happen in the brain?
The neuroimaging studies show it enhances connectivity in the left temporal cortex.
Okay.
Think of that as your brain's hub for empathy and insight. It's like personalized medicine. You match the book to the wound.
For example?
Well, if you're burned out, maybe you read Essentialism to get your head around boundaries. If you're dealing with heartbreak, something like Tiny Beautiful Things can give you that compassionate perspective you need.
I see. So bibliotherapy gives you the raw material, the insight, then you have to do something with it, which leads us to creative journaling.
The mind's safe haven. Journaling is all about taking those swirling insights and, externalizing them.
Getting them out of your head.
Exactly. You move the emotions from that internal loop onto the paper. It's a powerful form of what's called cognitive offloading, and the benefits are quantifiable. This isn't just anecdotal.
Okay, give us the data. How does writing my feelings down actually change my brain chemistry?
Studies show that just 20 minutes of writing about difficult emotions measurably reduces amygdala activity.
So your brain's alarm system, the fight or flight center.
That's the one. And when that alarm gets quieter, it allows your prefrontal cortex to activate. That's where clarity and high-level decision-making happen.
That sounds powerful. But, practically, if I'm stressed, the last thing I want is another task, like writing a novel about my day.
Right, and it's not about that. The key is consistency over intensity. It can be 5 minutes of just stream of consciousness writing, or using a tool like the emotion wheel. This helps you get past the surface feelings. Like, Leela from the case study used it for client communications. Instead of just writing, "I feel frustrated," the wheel helped her pinpoint the real feeling was disrespected.
And that clarity lets you address the actual problem, not just the symptom.
Precisely.
So journaling gives you the data, it gives you the release. But how do we use that data in the real world? And that's where emotional intelligence, or EQ, comes in. But to a skeptic, EQ just sounds like being nice.
It's so much more than being nice. It's the learned operating system of the heart. And it's highly focused on performance. The most strategic part of EQ is self-regulation.
Which is?
Mastering that crucial interval, that tiny space between feeling an intense emotion and then choosing how you respond.
It's not just counting to 10, it's actively training that pause.
Exactly. And you can use a physical anchor for it, like box breathing, the 4-4-4-4 breath.
Right.
When Leela was in that really contentious parent meeting, she paused. She used that breath. And instead of reacting defensively, she was able to respond collaboratively. That pause gave her access to her strategic mind.
So they're not three separate things. They're a link system. A book gives you insight, you journal it to get expression, and then EQ helps you integrate it.
And that brings us to the magic triangle, the synergy. It's that cycle in action.
Okay, let's use the example of Arjun, the guy who got passed over for a promotion.
Yeah.
That's a huge emotional blow. It could derail a career.
Oh, easily. But Arjun used the model. For insight, he read Man's Search for Meaning, which helped him reframe his situation.
To find meaning, even in professional suffering.
Right. Then, for expression, he journaled about what he could control, his effort, his attitude, his skills going forward.
But the integration part, the EQ part, that's where the rubber meets the road. What did he actually do?
That's the hardest part. It means acting against your ego. Instead of sulking, Arjun used his self-regulation to genuinely congratulate the winner and then asked his manager for specific, constructive feedback.
Wow. So he turned disappointment into data.
And demonstrated calm leadership under pressure. That's the strategic value right there.
So for anyone listening who wants a place to start, there's the 7-day Declutter Protocol. You said it's about consistency, not intensity.
That's the whole idea. You don't need hours. Day one is just name and release. You write down the single biggest thing weighing on you, and then you read it aloud.
Why read it aloud?
That act of speaking, it externalizes the weight. It makes the problem feel less amorphous, less overwhelming. It's the first step to actually processing it.
And this triangle isn't just for individual performance. It's about relational depth, too.
Absolutely. EQ is the bridge to connection. We focus so much on what we're going to say, but something like 55% of communication is nonverbal.
Body language, tone.
Yeah. EQ teaches you active listening beyond words. You have to notice the silences, the posture to really get what's going on.
What about vulnerability? We're told it's the glue of trust, but it feels so risky.
It is risky, so you have to make it a calculated risk. Strategic honesty. You start small. The triangle helps you frame things as I feel hurt when statements, not you always.
Yeah.
Accusations.
Which opens the door for connection instead of just conflict.
Yeah. Exactly. What's fascinating here is because the structured emotional work can fit into just 10 or 15 minutes a day, it becomes a sustainable habit. You can build these deep relationships even when you're swamped.
Okay, let's pivot. Let's talk to the hardest to convince audience, the skeptics who need the hard data on productivity and profit.
Yes. We need to show that this isn't a leisure activity. It's strategic cognitive optimization.
So where do we start?
With the productivity clutter paradox. Unresolved emotions create these open loops in your brain, constant alerts running in the background.
And these loops consume what, like 20 to 30% of your daily cognitive energy?
An astonishing amount, yes. If you spend your morning rereading an email from yesterday looking for a slight, you've basically lost a quarter of your focus for the day.
Wow.
And it gets worse. A high emotional load actively suppresses your brain's default mode network, the DMN, by 40%.
And the DMN is what exactly?
It's your creative hub. It's where you connect different ideas. It's your brain's innovation center.
So when we're stressed, our creativity literally shuts down. That's terrible for business.
It is. But cognitive offloading, using the triangle right before you do deep work, can reduce ideation latency, the time it takes to come up with new ideas, by 30%.
So this reframes the whole thing. It's not about feeling better. It's about being faster and more creative.
Exactly. It's about performance.
Okay, let's tackle the biggest source of modern clutter.
Right.
Our phones. The sources mention a dual declutter framework. How does that work?
It connects your inner clutter to your outer clutter. You can actually use your screen time as a diagnostic tool.
How so?
Studies show that spikes in screen use often happen about 18 hours before an emotional downturn. It's a leading indicator.
Interesting.
So the triangle helps you identify that pattern and then apply the 80-20 rule to your digital life. You'll probably find that 20% of your digital inputs cause 80% of your emotional clutter.
So you don't need a total digital detox.
No, just targeted, emotionally informed boundaries. You're applying EQ to your smartphone.
Finally, let's hit the hard business case for EQ. How does this translate to revenue?
The connection is very direct. A Talent Smart study found that high EQ leaders outperform their peers by 20% in goal attainment.
Okay, that's significant.
But here's the kicker: conflict resolution. It's a huge drain on resources. This model helps teams convert that adversarial energy into problem solving.
And what's the tangible result there?
A 60% faster resolution rate for major conflicts and a 35% higher rate of innovation after the conflict because people feel safe again.
So what's the bottom line for a company?
The bottom line is reported 22% revenue growth over 3 years for companies that adopt this kind of emotionally agile approach. Calm leadership is strategic dominance. You can measure it in dollars.
So this really scales. It goes from healing one person's burnout, like Maya's, all the way up to optimizing an entire organization's revenue.
It covers the whole spectrum.
Yeah.
And to really lock it in, the source recommends a 30-day challenge.
By 30 days.
That window of 28 to 75 days is prime for neuroplasticity. Consistent practice over that time has been shown to reduce baseline cortisol, your main stress hormone, by 22%. You move through 4 phases: release, rebuild, refine, and radiate.
So this deep dive has really shown us a complete model applicable to basically every part of modern life. It's not a quick fix.
No, it's a lifelong practice. And emotional clarity is never just a solitary thing. It creates a ripple effect. Your composure directly shapes the emotional weather for your team, your family.
The atmosphere around you.
Yeah. The sources call the path to sustainability the eternal cycle. You receive insight, you refine it through expression, you release what doesn't serve you, and then you radiate that calm integration out into the world. If we connect this to the bigger picture, the practice becomes as natural as breathing.
That feels like the ultimate takeaway, that your legacy isn't just what you achieve. It's the qualities you develop, the resilience, the clarity, the calmness in the process. So here's something to mull over. How will you use the magic triangle today to strategically shape the emotional atmosphere around you?
And that's a wrap for today's chat. Big thanks to my friends for keeping the conversation flowing, and to you for hanging out with us. If you like this talk, don't forget to share it and hit follow so you won't miss the next one. Take care, stay inspired, and we'll catch up soon.